Welcome to the Bookworm Duo, where we explore a variety of books. Let's get started. Today we're diving deep into The Inmate by Freida McFadden. It's a psychological thriller that'll have you questioning, every character's motives.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to unravel the story's twists and turns together, but buckle up because this one's a wild ride.
Oh, it really does grab you from the first page.
Okay.
You're introduced to Brooke Sullivan, a nurse practitioner who makes a decision that immediately raises eyebrows.
Okay.
She accepts a job at Raker Penitentiary, a maximum security prison in her hometown.
You would think after everything she's been through, she would want to get as far away from that place as possible.
Well, that's the hook, isn't it?
Yeah.
You quickly learn that Brooke is actually drawn back to this place she desperately wants to escape.
Right.
Because of a traumatic event tied to the prison.
Yeah.
We find out that her high school sweetheart, Shane Nelson, tried to kill her years ago.
Oh, wow.
And is now an inmate at Raker.
Talk about a complicated situation. So she's going back to the place where it all happened and facing the man who almost took her life? What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, you have no idea. And adding another layer of complexity is Tim Reese Brooke's childhood best friend.
Okay.
He's now the assistant principal at her son's school.
Okay.
And there are definitely some sparks flying between them.
So while Brooke is dealing with, the dark undercurrents of the prison and her past trauma, she's also navigating a potential new romance.
Precisely. But just as things start to seem almost normal for our Brooke, McFadden throws us a curveball.
Oh, no.
An inmate is found murdered, and the details are eerily similar to the incident from Brooke's past.
Chills, right? You immediately start wondering if the events are connected or if it's just a cruel coincidence.
That's the genius of McFadden's writing.
Yeah.
He knows how to keep you on the edge of your seat, constantly questioning everything.
Okay, so we have a present-day murder mystery with a connection to a past trauma. Where do we go from here?
To understand the present, we need to delve into the past.
Okay.
McFadden takes us back 11 years to that fateful night at a farmhouse where the attempted murder of Brooke took place.
And we get to see these characters as teenagers. Brooke, Shane, and Tim.
You're right. We see them at a high school party at the farmhouse.
Uh-huh.
With drinking games, a brewing storm, and simmering tensions that foreshadow the horrifying events to come.
It sounds like the perfect recipe for disaster. Was there anything in particular that stood out to you about this flashback?
Definitely. We learn about Tim's past relationship with Tracy Gifford, a girl who was found murdered over the summer.
Oh my gosh.
It immediately casts a shadow of suspicion over him.
So even at this point, McFadden's planting seeds of doubt about the people closest to Brooke.
Exactly. You start questioning everyone's motives.
Right.
And then the story shifts to the attack itself. Brooke is strangled with her own snowflake necklace, unable to see her attacker's face.
That image is so chilling. The snowflake necklace, a symbol of innocence and love, turned into a weapon.
It highlights the vulnerability of Brooke's situation and underscores the darkness that's closing in on her. In the aftermath, Tim is injured and Shane is arrested. Brooke, despite being unsure who attacked her, plays a role in convicting Shane.
I can only imagine the guilt and uncertainty she must have felt. Sending someone to prison based on a fragmented memory is a heavy burden to carry.
It is. And that decision has a ripple effect that extends far beyond Shane's imprisonment. Fast forward to the present, and those repressed memories begin to resurface, causing Brooke to reevaluate everything she thought she knew about that night.
It sounds like her return to Raker is about to stir up a lot more than she bargained for.
Oh, absolutely. She starts to suspect that Tim, her childhood friend and potential love interest, might be involved in the attack after all.
Okay, now I'm really starting to get suspicious of Tim. First the murdered girlfriend, and now Brooke's doubts about his involvement in the attack. It seems a little too coincidental, wouldn't you say?
I agree. And her suspicions are further fueled by his evasive behavior and her unease about his past relationship with Kelly Underwood, a waitress who has gone missing.
So we have two missing women connected to Tim, a past murder that eerily mirrors a current one, and a potential love interest who might be a wolf in sheep's clothing.
It's a tangled web, and Brooke is right in the center of it.
So what happens next? Does Brooke confront Tim about her suspicions?
She does, and her worst fears are confirmed when she discovers Kelly's body in his basement.
That's horrifying. So it turns out Tim really is the bad guy.
Well, it certainly seems that way. Tim is arrested, leaving Brooke to deal with the emotional fallout of her discovery. Imagine the guilt she must feel for wrongly accusing Shane and sending him to prison.
The impact on her son, Josh, who had formed a bond with Tim, must be devastating as well.
Absolutely. It's a heartbreaking situation for everyone involved. But just when you think the case is closed and justice has been served, McFadden throws us another twist. Pamela Nelson, Shane's mother, confesses to orchestrating the events that led to Shane's imprisonment.
Wait, what? So Tim might not be the mastermind behind everything after all.
It seems that way. Pamela reveals that her motivation was revenge against Brooke's family and a desire to have a relationship with her grandson, Josh.
Wow, this just keeps getting more and more complicated.
You're telling me... And Pamela's confession changes everything. It makes you wonder if Tim was a pawn in her twisted game all along. Maybe he was manipulated into doing her bidding.
It's mind-blowing to think that someone could be so calculating and ruthless, especially someone like Pamela, who's supposed to be a mother figure.
Right. But remember, we're dealing with a psychological thriller here.
Right.
Things are rarely as they seem. And speaking of things not being what they seem, with Tim behind bars and Pamela's confession throwing everything into question, Shane is released from prison.
Oh, wow. So the man Brooke believes tried to kill her is now a free man. I can't imagine how she must be feeling.
She's terrified, of course, but she's also trying to deal with the guilt of her past actions.
Right.
Brooke wants to make amends for sending Shane to prison for a crime he may not have committed. She even tries to help him rebuild his life.
So their relationship has taken a complete 180. They went from high school sweethearts to attempted murderer and victim to now where she's trying to help him reintegrate into society.
It's a complex dynamic, to say the least. And just when you think things might be settling down, McFadden throws in another twist. There's a possibility that Shane was involved in the murder of Marcus Hunt.
Hold on. Who is Marcus Hunt and why would Shane want him dead?
Marcus Hunt was the correctional officer who warned Brooke about Shane.
Yeah.
Remember, he told her that Shane was dangerous and that she needed to be careful?
Oh, right. I remember that now. So is this why Brooke starts to fear for her and Josh's safety?
Yes. The stakes become incredibly high. Not only has Shane been released from prison, but now it looks like he might be responsible for another death. The story turns into a race against time as Brooke tries to uncover the truth to protect herself and her son.
And to make matters worse, she's starting to have these terrifying flashbacks and fragmented memories. What's going on there?
Brooke's memories of the attack have always been hazy.
Okay.
She was strangled from behind and couldn't see her attacker's face.
Right.
But as she digs deeper into the truth, she starts to remember things she had blocked out.
So is this where she starts to believe that maybe Shane was her attacker all along?
Yes, the pieces of the puzzle start to fall into place. Her fragmented memories, the missing details from that night, and Shane's manipulative behavior all point to him.
And just to add fuel to the fire, we find out that Shane's mother, Pamela, has a history of violence and manipulation, like mother like son.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like
Oh.
they share a propensity for darkness.
So Brooke is now convinced that Shane is the one who tried to kill her all those years ago. What does she do with this realization?
She confronts Shane and Pamela at the farmhouse, the place where it all began.
Talk about a full circle moment. I bet that confrontation was intense.
It was. During the encounter, Pamela confesses to her role in the past murders and reveals a chilling plan to eliminate Brooke and raise Josh with Shane.
Wow. Talk about a mother's love gone wrong. She's willing to kill to have her grandson all to herself.
It's a twisted and disturbing form of love driven by obsession and a need for control. And during this confrontation, a struggle ensues leading to an accidental shooting and Pamela's death.
So Pamela's reign of terror is finally over. But what about Shane? Is he brought to justice?
Well, that's where things get even more complicated. Brooke, in a desperate search for Josh, who has gone missing, encounters Margie. Remember her? Pamela's accomplice?
Yes. And wasn't it also revealed that Margie was Josh's other grandmother?
That's right. The plot thickens even further when we discover that Margie has been involved in Pamela's schemes all along.
This family is full of secrets and betrayals. It's hard to keep track of who's doing what and why.
You're not wrong there. It's like peeling back layers of an onion, and with each layer, the story becomes more and more twisted.
So where's Josh in all of this? And what about Shane?
Well, during the final confrontation, the truth comes out. It turns out that Josh, in a moment of protective instinct, killed Shane to protect his mother.
Wow, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
So the young boy who had been through so much trauma ended up taking a life to protect his own.
It's a tragic turn of events, isn't it? It raises questions about the cycle of violence and the long-lasting effects of trauma.
It certainly does. And it leaves you with a sense of unease, wondering about the future of these characters. What happens to Josh after he kills Shane?
The book doesn't explicitly tell us what happens to Josh. It leaves that open to interpretation. But one thing is for sure, he's been through more than any child should have to endure.
What a heavy ending to an already intense story.
It is, but it's also thought-provoking. It makes you think about the blurred lines between justice and revenge. the complexities of familial relationships, and the lasting impact of trauma.
Yeah, it really makes you think about like the ripple effects of violence and like the cyclical nature of trauma.
Yeah.
You have Pamela driven by revenge, orchestrating these horrific events. Then you have Shane, like potentially following in his mother's footsteps, unable to break free from that cycle of violence.
Right.
And finally, you have Josh, a child caught in the crossfire, forced to make an impossible choice to protect himself and his mother.
It's a tragedy on multiple levels, highlighting the devastating consequences of unchecked anger and the long-lasting impact of trauma.
It leaves you feeling unsettled, wondering about the nature of justice and the possibility of redemption.
Exactly. And while the ending doesn't provide easy answers, it does offer a glimmer of hope. The story concludes with Brooke reaching out to Tim, seeking a connection for Josh, who has lost so much.
That's an interesting point. Despite everything that has happened, Brooke sees the potential for healing and connection.
Yes, she recognizes that Josh needs a positive male figure in his life, and despite Tim's past actions, she believes he can offer that support.
It speaks to the complexity of forgiveness and the possibility of finding solace in unexpected places.
It's a reminder that even amidst the darkness, there's always the potential for growth and healing.
This deep dive has been a roller coaster of emotions. The Inmate is a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
It's a reminder that appearances can be deceiving, that the past can haunt us in unexpected ways, and that even the most innocent can be capable of darkness.
If you're looking for a psychological thriller that will keep you guessing until the very end, The Inmate is definitely worth adding to your reading list.
It'll challenge your perceptions, keep you on the edge of your seat, and leave you pondering the complexities of human nature.
Thanks for joining us. Subscribe for more bookish adventures and hit that like button if you enjoyed the ride. Don't forget to share the knowledge, spread the word,